Hello everyone, it's Friday night and it is Weekender time once more, and it's a bumper episode as Adepticon is in mid-swing and people are throwing news out left, right and centre. But before we get into all of that, there is a prize to be had from store.ontabletop.com. One lucky subscriber will be in with a chance to win a Team Yankee T72 Warsaw Pact starter force. If you want to grab this big beautiful prize, then you need to pop a comment below and do all the socially things as well, because that helps us out a lot. Otherwise, sit back, relax, crack open a beer. Your weekend starts now. Hello everybody and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined this week by Ben, John and returning Justin.
Yeah,
still alive!
Yay.
Still alive! Still alive! Yay! How well done, folks?
What's that one from the Avengers? Proof that Tony Stark has a heart?
Ooh, shot fired!
Right. Anyway, enough of that. It is great to see you back, Justin. But we'll be chatting to him on Sunday morning in more detail. So if you want to find out how he's getting on,
yes,
you can come and join us there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But to kick things off for this week, I wasn't here last week because you launched a Spring Clean Challenge during St. Patrick's Day.
We did, yeah.
I was getting absolutely hammered.
I was wondering how wiggly your painting was. I'd be like, oh,
John will be able to tell you that.
No, hang on. Surely that's
stuff I painted last week.
Surely that's when Jerry's going to make the most progress, because he's not, all grumbly and stuff. He's, bubbly and happy and just like, painting, yay!
You don't understand. You don't understand. So Shay and I were in our Friday night D&D group. Right, so we had Discord up and we were doing it over Discord. Yeah, Jerry knows where this is going. And we see over the work Discord, Jerry's in a voice chat. We were like, what's he doing? We hopped in and he was sharing his screen watching Boondock Saints?
Boondock Saints 1 and 2.
So Shay and I were like, we said to the rest of our D&D group, excuse us fellas, we need to go check something out. So we both hopped in and all we heard was, how you doing, lads? Oh, he's all right. He's having a good time. And we were like, Jerry, how drunk are you? You're like, sure, I'm just here, just back from the pub, just watching a bit.
See, this is something I always find entertaining, is whenever you see Jerry having a few at events, he's having what a normal person has over the course of a very extended evening. He's still fine the next day, so the capacity of this man, much higher than you would expect.
It's like a runner hitting the wall. Actually, when I got back from the pub, I had a later bottle of Jameson's. I started playing my way through and then ended up talking to Crispin in that chat for some time. However,
the devil.
That's besides the point.
Very, very much besides the point.
Yeah.
The Spring Clean Challenge has kicked off.
Yes, it has.
Yes.
Yeah.
So presumably people who've seen last week knows the score. I see there's some sort of terrible one where it's asking people to go outside.
Yeah. So we not to gild the lily too much of what we talked about last week, but there's the 5 categories this time around. You've got best skill, best tutorial, best idea, and then there's also the awesome little Otter Pups, great junior member option there as well. So if you're under 16, you can take part. And there's also a breath of fresh air. Where you need to take a miniature out into the wilds and take a picture of it in nature, which will be very fun for a lot of people, I'm sure. Taking pictures of miniatures in shopping centres, probably. But there we go.
A lot of people I know take their final pictures of the miniatures outside anyway.
They do. Well, there you go. That would qualify.
Better quality of photo under natural light.
Yeah, and a bunch of people have started putting in their projects already, showing off what they've been working on. It seems to be a whole host of different things, from historical through to sci-fi and fantasy and everything else
Captain
in between.
Scarlet.
Which is yes, is that the crooked dice stuff? I think it is. Yeah, it's very nice.
I see one I like. Someone's doing a plasma pistol. I have one of those.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah, that's not the one I'm going to go to.
Don't roll a 1.
Of course. Gary goes straight for the historics.
Straight the saga.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you are planning on doing this, some of these are brand new for this year. Some people have dusted off old projects. You will need to go in and change the contest category
that you're attached to. Yeah.
So move it away from Spring Clean Challenge and specifically to Spring Clean Challenge 2023.
Yes.
Otherwise, we won't
you
be
will
able to
not
find
count.
it. Well,
it is very simple and easy for you to do though. So if you go into your project and just edit it, you'll find it as a drop down menu. And obviously, when you're building your project, it'll just be there anyway. And you just got to make sure that you click that Spring Clean Hobby Challenge 2023, and away you go. Really, so yeah, it should be
and you
nice
can
and easy.
tear on in there and get involved.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it was a challenge, possibly a suggestion from one of the community members for some of us to get involved.
See,
I'm going to be doing that. Yeah.
See, after last year, John never paid up. So, because he did call me out last year, I did follow through. He did not.
Oh my God.
You never told me what you wanted.
You never said I got to pick what I wanted.
Yeah, was it not implied?
No.
Loopholes, I hear. So
it does sound like it.
Yeah,
very much so.
I might do. I think I'm going to do something Middle Earthy. Who's surprised?
Wow.
Wow.
I've got the old Balin's Tomb display base that has been languishing for a very long time. And
isn't that the one you said you'd do last year as well?
Shut up. Yeah.
I might try and finish off my Emperor's Children for the Age of Darkness box, which has been sitting languishing for a while.
Yeah,
I'm already painting way too much stuff to say I'm spring cleaning. I've been in a spring clean mode for the last 8 months.
Yeah, but John, you make like an army a week. It's crazy. I mean,
can I count the spring clean as the 2 painted armies that I dumped?
No.
What? No.
That's not
throwing away
challenge.
things.
But I cleaned the house out. It's spring cleaning.
I suppose that's true.
Yeah, but not painting challenge.
You should have taken a picture of the bin bag outside.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Unless you manage to track down the waste and see whether or not some trash pandas have done some work for you. Oh my God, it's been beast.
I can just imagine some poor council worker, they throw the bag on the skip and it's just like, what's all these tiny men things that have just exploded from this bag?
No, because you know what it's like. It's like, there must be wee green army men.
That would make an awful lot of sense. You've got plenty of time to get involved with the Spring Clean Challenge anyway.
Yes.
It runs through to 21st of June.
Yeah, the end of spring.
The end of spring.
So,
the end of spring for us. I know some people were already furiously typing, but it's winter here now, and it's not spring until.
We're talking about
September.
the real spring, by which I mean the UK spring. So
we focus solely on ourselves.
Yeah.
So
this should be apparent by now.
In other words, when the rain just gets ever so slightly warmer.
Warm rain season.
Warm rain. Yeah.
Well, warmer. It's still cold.
Yeah, it's all good in the hood. Right. Enough of that. Get painting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a think about whether or not I'm going to join in. There's plenty of stuff to be spring cleaned in here. I'll say that, but it's whether or not I can find the time, effort, and clear table space to put something on. But
so just buy a new table.
There's no room to put a table in. I put a table in, I'm going to have to take boxes off the floor. Doesn't work either. Right, time to kick into the most important part of the week. And we're going to go into the indie of the week with Peter Pig. And
Don't worry, people. You're actually going to get miniatures this week. It's okay. So
everyone complained about books last week.
Everybody enjoyed your booky work
I
thing.
think so. Yeah.
Did a booky work thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was indie books of the week last week.
All about Joe's stuff.
It was all about Joe McCullough. But anyway, Peter Pig.
Peter Pig. I thought we'd done the delightful PP before. Apparently not, which is a terrible, terrible shame.
I think we talked about him in the news because they did a bunch of War of the Roses stuff. I think it was. So, yeah. So
Peter Pig is a 15mm manufacturer. They also do several rule sets. Unfortunately, I don't know what any of the rule sets are like. So I'm not going to be talking about those. We'll just be looking at the little tiny fighting man. However, they do visit some of the tournaments and clubs in the UK.
Yep.
And occasionally you'll get delightful things like this. I mean, look at that. Look how
that is old school.
Very indie, very old school.
I say that.
There's a hill
classic.
on that. There's a hill on that table that serves no purpose.
It depends what the actual encounter is. Oh, they're playing Fog. That's quite nice. Because it may be that hill was there, or maybe that's randomly generated.
Where maybe Better Warren isn't here, he'd be just sitting having conniptions going, there's not enough to rain, oh God!
That's history for you. History, generally armies would fight where they were best to fight, and not just in some sort of jam-packed thing. More oink for your buck. Anyway, the 15 mil range from Peter Pig is substantial and colourful.
Yes.
As we said, I
it's
love this.
Very
it's
early
very
2000s. Yes.
This is a very early 2000s website.
It's absolutely great.
I mean, this almost feels 90s, John. I'm going to say it.
So we have, as you can see,
look at the flashing buttons.
So new, such shiny, much wow.
I'm actually, before we get stuck into the variety of tiny fighting men's from there, I will actually start off with the collectible figures.
Ooh, okay.
So when you order any of the sort of packs and bits and pieces, you can choose a collectible figure. You can only have one per order. And cool. it's a little free thing. So their variety, again, these are 15 mil, you have to remember that. So they're about a quarter of the size of these images. maybe a third of the size of these images is how the actual sculpt will come out. But they run the gamut of various historical periods. In some cases, there'll be interesting commanders or pieces that you can drop into your army, and in a lot of cases, they're based on or homage to either a significant person in the tabletop industry, or a friend, or community at large. So sometimes you'll get people like the old gunman Wild West fighter. So it's just some bloke with a double barrel shotgun getting people off his land. Going a bit Bill Money there, quite like that. Or your stretcher bearers, they're all quite nice. Piggles is one of my favorite. I don't know if we can
Piggles.
Yeah. So obviously anybody of a certain age will remember Biggles,
yes,
the
Biggles,
the World War I pilot / time traveler. Biggles was great, and I really liked the idea of Captain Piggles existing. Absolutely no use for him at all in that scale,
except for owning it.
Yeah. Well, there's always that. However, as you can see, there's quite a lot of them, and for some people, especially in the UK, you might recognize some of the people that they're based on. So Baker Company, Danny O'Hara, he passed away in 2019. So you've a little Mexican revolutionary leader version of him, and I really like that they've done this line. For most people, they're just a nice figure to have, but for people who knew these alumni of wargaming, it's nice to be able to get your hands on things. And when we get right down the bottom, you get Duncan McFarlane, a massive contributor to and founder of Wargames Illustrated. And then at the very bottom, we have Paul Beccarelli, or Beckus, who's a community member on OTT, YouTuber, passed away through a long battle with cancer, unfortunately, in Australia. But he was a terrific guy, a lot of fun to have a chat to. And I didn't realize that they'd done a model of Becca's. So Nick and a few other people that I know who were in Becca's Discord, I might ping them and let them know that he's there.
That's a really cool thing to do. Yeah.
But so that's just a nice little aside that they're here. And just a nice touch from a company sort of giving recognition to the community at large, because not everybody in here is somebody who is a great and good of the actual industry. A lot of them are gamers, players, just people who were
they've just
involved.
made a little bit of a name for themselves, or something in local clubs and that kind of thing.
Exactly, and obviously with the rise of this Tinternet thing, what the kids keep telling me about, it means that you having people from Colorado or Canada or Australia, you can get more notoriety, I suppose, in a way. But anyway, right, enough of that, and on with the rest of the miniatures. Obviously, too many to look through, far too many. There is even some fantasy, but we'll take a pick out a few of these. We'll start with Dark Ages, because everybody likes a bit of Dark Age.
Oh, yes.
It's always nice to see. Some things in here like the guy shouting shield wall. That's not a bit of Microsoft Paint clip arty. That is a miniature that you can use to put behind your unit whenever they're in shield wall formation, so you remember that they formed a shield wall. And I like that, and I may be picking some of those up even for 28mm. But you do get a range of, I wouldn't say sculpting styles, but choices. So in a lot of cases, they'll have cast weapons, but with some of the ranges, you have the option, especially for Pike, where they'll either have cast versions or have empty hands that will require you to add your own pikes and lances, which obviously I'm not a fan of cast. In smaller scale like this, sometimes it's a necessary evil, but I'd much prefer to replace them all with nice sharp steel things that I can injure myself with, John.
Yeah. I am seeing one thing I really like here. So number 19, so you've got a bit dead, really dead, and very, very dead.
Dead indeed. Yeah.
I do like that. It's quite a cute thing.
Yeah, every time I look through this site, I get like this good dose of very British comedy.
Yeah. Very, very dead.
Yes, very, very dead, that one.
Head, limbs, all separate.
Yeah.
But also things like, I mean, so many of the small scale games use baggage trains and things like that. So having civilians and having markers of various types are always handy.
Yeah, that you need
which
to chase down and stuff. Yeah.
Which means you can have these. You can, have your peasants outside the village, either decorating the train or as part of your camp or as objective markers. So, I mean, there's a lot of really nice things here. I like the plunder set there.
I mean, it's literally just one of them just went, "You have a big hat. I am taking that home with me.
I am now the Pope."
Yeah, he's got all the crosses, and I'd just love to paint that up as very deliberately a Viking wearing that over the top.
Yeah,
or maybe it could be a bishop out the front.
Look how big of a Christian I can be.
Because I think the three definitely Vikings have there's a bit of Osprey artwork, I think, that is like the sacking of Lindisfarne, where it shows like a cleric attempting to talk them down or stop them while they just pillage all around them. And I'm wondering if it's based on those. But regardless, it's a really nice set.
That is quite cute and very different to what you'd normally see. Oh, you were kidding. It's actually cast to say shield wall.
Shield wall. So some of these are markers for their games, and you can use obviously just standard tokens or chits or tiddlywinks or whatever it is that you would normally have kicking around, but then being able to have a few little pieces that you can stick down or
some with a touch more flavor.
Yeah, they're always nice, and including things like the long boats, dragon ships,
proper boats.
Proper
Lovely.
boats.
Proper boat.
We have Saxons as well, and again the attention to detail, the historical accuracy is top notch on all of Peter Pig's stuff. They do a really nice World War II section. That's where I first encountered them many moons ago.
Yeah,
it was via World War II. That poor peasant with his cudgel / spade,
bringing the levies forth.
Yeah. Somebody's got to die, and it's not going to be me.
I mean, we need a lot of shot up front. Off you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've called shield wall, but I don't have a shield.
You are the shield. When he calls shield wall, you all go to the front and take the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune in the face. Carolingians are quite nice. So these are your sort of proto-Normans in many respects. When they all got subsumed, they were very cavalry heavy before.
Good horses as well for these.
Yeah. They're really, really nice sculpting. Look, more deadens, because I know you like them.
Yeah.
And then your various dragon head ship prows.
Nice.
Big head. It's very important. Anyway.
Hang on. There's one of them where it's just like, put in a random head. I cannot pick.
I don't mind what head you put in. Yeah. It's good. It's a good way of picking things. It's how I run stuff.
Give me a surprise.
Yeah. So that's their Dark Ages.
That's really cool. I like that stuff.
Where do you want to go? I'll give you guys each one choice. Otherwise, we'll be here all night.
American Civil War for me.
ACW.
Yeah. Yeah, because again, myself and Shay are looking into it and
I suppose I
seeing
have to
different
open
ranges.
the naval as well.
Oh,
Because
thank
it's
you. You're too kind. You're too kind.
Technically, also.
It's empty.
No, it's not.
Oh, no, there
Anyway,
we go.
I was just reading what that said before I went there. So, ironclads, monitors.
Ironclads.
Yeah, nice. Beautiful steamboats.
Very ugly ironclad, big paddle boxes.
Yes. Well, I mean, you don't want the cannons to actually, break your paddle wheels.
Was it Scary Biscuits, the ND we looked at?
It
I'm
was,
going to say a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Had a ACW style naval game.
They did.
Yeah. These would be perfect for that.
I think it was either John or Shay was telling me about whenever two ironclads actually were fighting each other and literally just bonging off each other because the cannons couldn't penetrate the armor.
It was the fight between the Monitor and the Ironclad, wasn't it? Like
I think so.
The first sort of naval engagement with the two of them.
Yeah, literally the locals were just coming out, sitting down on the banks and just watching.
Wow.
They're like badthink in that respect.
I think you're mixing that up because it was the first battle of
fair.
American Civil War that everyone was like, "Oh, look, it's a war. I wonder what this is about." And then they all got slaughtered and was like,
Oops.
It's not public friendly.
Do not sit and watch battles. There are no safety fences.
This is interesting that the various types of armored boat.
I didn't realize there were this many versions of
all named
because
presumably they were all bespoke at that stage. There wasn't a set ship of the line type plan for these things. They were too exciting and new.
Yeah, they even had a submarine.
Yeah, at least one. I remember that.
Yeah, which was interesting because it was literally just a tube with a hand crank in the middle, and all the guys would crank on the thing to make it go forward. Apparently, I think they all suffocated, or whenever it actually hit something, the explosive charge on the front, the stick wasn't long enough, so the concussion, I think, killed them.
It sank 3 times.
Wow.
But it kept coming back, and submarines are supposed to sink, so in many respects it was spot on.
What madman in that time period thought, look, if I get a seal tube, put some guys in there, put a bomb on the front, this is going to be great, lads.
Well, look at it this way. If that madman hadn't done that, would there be submarines as we know them today?
Possibly not.
Very no cockle shell heroes without them. There's some Iron Brigade with a very distinctive, I'm not even sure what that hat's called. Does it name it? Union in hat and frock coat? No, it doesn't.
So they've basically covered all the bases when it comes to what you'd need for playing the different Union and Confederate forces then, pretty much, haven't they? Yeah.
But I mean, it looks like you've got a great mix of everything.
Well, these won't obviously scale with much else because these are all 15 mil, aren't they?
These are all 15.
Yeah, so you're going to have to make up your own.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you're getting into a new period with friends,
make sure you're all on the same scale. Yeah.
Which, because it would be a terrible shame if you arrived with your lovely 15 mil stuff all painted to find that you were fighting against the Lilliputian army of the Confederacy.
All my bosses are giants and will trample your Confederates under their hooves.
Union horse holders as well, which are all quite nice.
Yeah.
Horse holders are always good.
Oh man, there's so many nice little kits and stuff in this. Very cool.
See, the more I'm looking into this period of history, the more interesting it gets because you see lots of different experimentation with different types of firearms and stuff above and beyond musketry.
It's the weirdest thing I found out about the American Civil War recently, and I wasn't even researching the American Civil War. I was researching the Battle of the Boyne. And the Confederacy decided that, that would be a small patch. That's
Denied.
The perfect Lloyd shot.
Yeah. The Confederacy decided that they should probably still use pike.
Right.
And they thought every company or every brigade should have some percentage with pike for infantry. And they made them. They made a load of pike. And then General Lee, who initially agreed, went, you know what? Maybe using big long wooden sticks in this essentially modern war isn't going to work out for us, so they just left them in storage. But they sat down at the start. They went, pikes are the way to go. Make the pikes, and then they just chickened out before they handed the pikes out to people.
To be fair, though, in that I guess they would have thought, well, they're probably going to have a lot of cavalry, so maybe there'll be a use for pikes, and then suddenly realized it was incredibly unwieldy.
Yeah, or just that having a bang stick was better.
Yeah.
Very much.
Because a bang stick can either kill the horse or scare the horse.
Yes.
It's really nice.
And that's a big bang stick.
That really is. I like the stretcher parties.
Yeah.
As well.
Again,
They're good for
I'm
making
really
little dioramas and stuff.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this because Seige is going really in depth, even finding like 3D printable like cornfields and stuff.
Wow. I can't wait to see how it all comes together. Very nice. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're lucky, we'll maybe get it into one of our 4-week cycles for vlog.
Very nice.
I'm still on the fence. I kind of like it, but I kind of not just sure yet.
I thought you were wanting to play the Confederates.
Yeah, but I still haven't found the reason to hook me in. Yeah, like I still haven't found my hook for it.
I'm just waiting for someone in the comments to go, well, there was a regiment that came from Coleraine here in Northern Ireland, and they fought in this battle, this battle, and this battle.
Literally could not care. I could not care.
It wouldn't be the locals. It would be something more tangible. You're looking for a band of brothers for the American Civil War, aren't you?
I know a few of the personalities, but at the same time, like even watching, so like Shay and I sat down to watch a couple of movies based on the Civil War, and I was like, oh my god, this is just so boring. I don't know why. It's because
which ones did you watch?
What was the one that started that massacre in the crater?
Cold Mountain. No?
Yeah, I think it was that one.
Yeah.
So Shay and I watched that, and I was like, I looked over at him, and we were both kind of half asleep, and I was like, this is not what we wanted, is it?
That's the one where they set all the explosives underneath the lines and then blow them all up.
That's like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
I think you probably need to go back and have you watched Gettysburg? Very long, very good.
I'm pretty sure my dad forced me to watch it at one point.
There's one that's on Netflix.
If that's not going to light your fire, Glory's good as well.
I enjoyed it.
It's
enjoyed it.
Broderick leading.
Yes, one of the first African American regiments.
Oh right, wow, cool.
It's a very good cast. Now, both of those.
Yeah.
The
well
director who did Gettysburg did another one called, I think, Gods and Generals. That's where he goes full. The Confederacy was not about slavery, and all the Southerners loved all of their slaves, and their slaves loved them.
Wow.
So probably skip that. It's full on propaganda style and very badly shot in comparison. It's not even well directed. Okay. So so you can ignore the if you enjoyed Gettysburg when you watch it again, and you go, oh, I want more of the same, I wouldn't bother. Get on something else.
The little flag packs might be very useful. Because even if they're at 15 mil, I know some of the flags that they used back then were huge.
I think Toros suggested that if you are playing 6, still go with bigger flags anyway, just to make it easier to identify things.
Yeah.
So
that was my one.
That was his. John, any takers?
Yeah, go for it, John.
Oh, I think you know where I want to go.
WW3. No.
There you go. I just need to see what there is.
There's much of all.
Many things.
Sherman series information and details. What is this green bar that is teasing me?
So they've done breakdowns of lots of different things. So
happy place, John.
Oh, this is happy. I like that.
I told you
it's just a list. I don't care. I'm just happy with the list.
Lists are fun. Let's have a look then. US?
Let's do US, yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen a Sherman with a tow hitch.
They all have tow hitches.
Okay.
Well, they're supposed to. But someone, particularly the British, decided that a tank towing a trailer was really stupid.
I wonder why.
Because you couldn't reverse.
Forces you to only go forward. Is that the whole point? You're a cute little set of figures.
Good things to put into some Flames of War.
Yeah, for a little variation.
Yeah,
Minesweepers, very cool.
I like the Mine Clear and the Flamethrower guys. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Got a satchel charge, scumbag.
Yeah.
The thing that's always good about creators who do these smaller packs is that a lot of, so for example, Battlefront will do a large amount of your kind of just standard infantry stuff. But then you just supplement it with these, as you were saying, John, and suddenly your unit is a little bit, is more unique than your friends, which I think is quite nice.
I mean, sprinkling it in for a little bit of extra flavor, definitely an idea I would go with.
Yeah. And it looks like the proportions of everything are actually pretty good, actually, compared to what you get from Battlefront and stuff. So,
well, I'd say those would match up to Battlefront's older metals pretty tidily.
Yeah. They do. That's why I know Peter Pegg, because when I was getting into Flames of War way back, it was a case of going and looking at all the different 15mm manufacturers.
I like that it's a homegrown British bunch of stuff as well. So it's all from like down south as well. So it shouldn't take too long to get to you.
There's a proper amount of stowage plus sandbags.
That's properly done.
Please don't shoot my tank.
Patton would be annoyed.
I am worried about my tank getting shot. What will I do? Throw on sandbags?
I like that.
Nice objective marker.
Yeah. You just need an Audie Murphy.
No. Audie Murphy didn't want to be Audie Murphy in the movie about him, so, even though he played himself in it.
That's got to be weird.
He complained there wasn't enough blood.
I'm sure. He did. Just standing there with the script going, no, it's not like this.
It's like artists drawing Napoleonic battle scenes, they always leave out all the entrails. I wonder why.
Because war is glorious.
Yes.
There's one with the PK armor on it as well.
Yeah, very tidy little models.
Yeah.
Are those tracks on the right way around? That's what we need to ask John. So.
They are.
I think
do not bring that up from last week.
Don't. What? Who put them on back to front?
Don't worry about it.
It's all.
But I am concerned.
You always check for the cog up front to drive it. So that's our US.
Very nice.
Have a quick look at one of the others.
Something weird. Yeah, Italian.
Benito's boys.
My favorite lamppost decoration.
I don't know. One of them looks like he's just cartooned it and ran face first into a wall. Just.
It's been really interesting seeing what I mean. I've talked about it when we discussed it for Bolt Action, actually, but it's always funny that the sort of prevailing view of the Italians is that they were utterly awful,
not very good,
but there actually were quite a lot of really elite troops.
I mean,
just so happened that a lot of the time they were stuck in some pretty crappy situations.
I mean, I still remember one of the first gags we ever did whenever Warlord did the Auto Belinda. We found out that it could drive as fast backwards as it did forwards.
I also find it like on this website, it's kind of, I know it's probably nothing, but I like the fact that the entry for the Italian tank commanders is blank.
We don't have any.
the tanks, when they get hit, everything goes.
As we can see here.
Yeah, I mean, from a tank enthusiast perspective, the Italians really are right down there as far as development and implementation.
I mean, really nice. I thought the Japanese were pretty down low there as well.
The Japanese built tanks to serve what they thought the war was going to be, and then the Americans rolled up and they went, we've miscalculated.
Yeah, whoopsie.
Yeah.
As is the one in life. Well, the Italians,
that's cool.
Italians were very much fighting the previous war.
Yeah. Well, is that track markers for tanks?
Yep. For when they get knocked off. Mobilized tanks there.
That's very cool.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah. Oh, nice cool pin markers and all sorts of different things.
You've also got some mine markers in there.
Yeah. I really like that.
Hit markers for tanks. Oh, I like that. One with the big pink dice next to it.
Yeah.
You can't buy those dice, by the way. They know a whole flavor, variety of colors.
Nice.
Pig on the 6.
So long as they roll better than any of the dice we have in here.
Just get Lloyd to bake them like he bakes all his dice whenever he's playing me.
Or just let me roll them because apparently the dice gods love me.
Yeah.
An Irish Guard's cheap. I'm just saying, I think that's an Irish Guard's cheap.
53 on it.
Well, 53 is the junior regiment of an armored division, which that red square denotes as an armored regiment. So yeah, if the other symbol is the all-seeing eye, it's the junior regiment.
Can't see. This guy's got his ass on it.
Yeah, you need to get out of the way.
Can't trust some people, John.
You had one job. You ruined the photo.
You ruined it.
So that brings us back to the front page and Benjamino.
I was going to say it would be cool to look at the because you've already looked at the Dark Ages, which would have been my pick. But let's look at the War of the Roses stuff, because then we can let other people go and dive into the rest of it and things. But because this was the stuff that I'd seen previously popping up.
This is one of the more recent ranges, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been really getting into this particular period of warfare. And so it was kind of awesome to see all this kind of 15 mil stuff popping up and things. Yeah,
it's very good if you want an easy access point. Bill hooks, never mind the bill hooks.
Yes, yeah.
Play that, which is obviously written, I think, it's not written for a specific scale, but most people play with 28s. However, if you replace an individual 28 mil figure with a little base of 4 or 5 of these guys, then you can still play the same game in the same amount of time, but get a really nice looking force of, maybe
because it's been made to play quite quickly,
figures.
Hasn't it? As well,
yeah. But you don't need masses upon masses of figures.
Yeah. I will say the heavy gun is mildly concerning.
The heavy gun,
yeah.
Why is it concerning?
Classic old bombard. Yeah,
it's very, very large for the time period. I wonder if it ever went skadoosh and blew up on the people using it.
Oh yeah,
most of the time. Yeah.
Well, it depends who cast them for you. Some countries were made much better guns than others.
Yes. Yeah. But the thing that's always been fascinating about this is it's still that time where a lot of the armies were still using very medieval technology and weaponry and warfare.
Black powder wasn't the be all and end all.
That's prevalent. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the first stage of that you kind of saw whenever crossbows were first becoming a big thing. So instead of having a guy trained to actually be able to draw a big heavy bow, you could actually just have a guy mechanically using a crossbow and get similar results. So less training was required.
Yeah. Punching holes in the flowers of nobility. But there we go.
Nice. It's the best thing to do to them. Yeah. And yet, all these years later, the building's still around. Son of a gun.
I thought we had a civil war about this. God damn it.
Oh, wow. One of them's got an axe through his helmet.
Yeah. He used to be an adventurer like you.
And the last one's got a sword on him.
Yep. You beat me to that one, Ben.
It's the way to do it. It is the way to do it.
I used to be a soldier like you until I took an axe in the knee. Oh. It's really nice stuff and very well detailed, as you were saying about some of the previous ranges as well. It was the bowmen with some of the more recent stuff as well, so it was quite nice. I liked they've gone like, and there's some poorer bowmen and they're Welsh.
I see the one little dude there with the arms up. You imagine him just running out into his crop field where they're fighting, going, "No, my crops, no again."
I will give you this goose if you leave me alone.
Yeah.
Bribery.
Yeah.
Bribery's the best way.
Yeah. And then you get the sort of double thing of like, oh yes, they might be poorer bowmen, but the Welsh were the best bowmen in the United Kingdom, weren't they? So
yeah, well, they were the medieval equivalent of a.
And suddenly Ben accidentally a ward.
Look, Man United fans desperately asking Radcliffe to buy the club.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
He's unreliable assaulter at targeting my morale. It's cool that they've got all the characters in there as well. Yeah. This is the kind of thing that I really like, and something we'll talk about later actually in the show as well. But I love that you get things like this where you start to see names of characters and you go, well, I now need to go and learn who this person is, because then you get a little bit of a backstory and then that helps you build up a character and armies and all that kind of thing. It's really cool. Yeah.
Who was Baron Wenlock?
Exactly. I want to know.
These are the questions that demand answers.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet he was a lovely, fluffy man who gave hugs to all the children he passed along his way, and perhaps even a halfpenny.
Terrible geography joke, but I'd like to know much about Wenlock.
Oh dear, that is bad. I can't believe you'd go there. Well, I can't believe you'd go there. Yeah. Anyway, so the ranges. The ranges are comprehensive and constantly being added to as well. So, it's not just an old range that's stagnating. It's constantly being revisited, refreshed, and expanded. So there's plenty going on. And then the packs it's sort of a one price fits all for a pack. A pack's 4 cavalry or 8 infantry. For 4 or 5 quid, whatever it is. Like I say, they do rule sets, but I don't know much about them. I'm sure there are plenty of people in there.
I wonder if these folks turn up to any of the bigger events in the year.
They tend to. I think they've been at previous ones. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I could do this look out behind me, mind you. I could find out.
You could, but you're terribly lazy.
I am very lazy indeed. Very lazy indeed. But yeah, if you're interested in getting into a whole host of 15 mil periods, it's a great place to look. If people were wondering why I didn't go into the plastic bit, because I know some people don't like metal, they like the plastic. It's because the plastic are actual plastic kits from other companies that are scaled appropriately.
Oh, there we go.
Like a small scale Revel kit or Humbrel or whoever it happens to be that you can use for your moderns or your World War II or blah blah blah. So not necessarily stuff that they've done themselves. Anyway, that's enough of that. We're going to take a quick swish, and then I believe there may or may not be some news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right, folks, we're back, and it's Adepticon weekend.
Oh, yay.
We've already kicked off massively. Massively.
Yes.
Haven't even got to the Saturday yet, and already there's a whole hatful of news coming out of the place. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. A lot of stuff. A lot of early morning stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you're watching this on Friday night, but whatever.
Yeah. So basically, everything we're saying right now is going to be mildly out of date.
Yeah, but not. Yeah. At least this time they did their preview in advance of our weekender rather than making us wait a week. So
God bless them.
That's all good.
Yeah, but there will obviously be more.
Yeah, but anyway, that's kind of giving the game away. We're talking about Games Workshop stuff, baby. Warhammer 40K, baby, and also some Mortal Realms later, baby.
I'm going to be controversial,
but we're going to start things off with the biggest announcement that took up a fair chunk of the preview.
It really did. Yeah,
like half an hour, 40 minutes, maybe
40 minutes almost. Yeah, which I really appreciated. Getting up at 3 a.m. to have them waffle.
I woke up at 2:30, went straight back to bed, and I woke up at 5 o'clock and was like, "Oh, Jerry got up." But anyway, so this is the announcement of 10th edition Warhammer 40,000 is coming to the tabletop. We'll talk miniatures first, and then we'll dive a little bit into to rules and stuff that they shared. But as you can see here, we're going to be getting brand new miniatures for the Space Marines, obviously, starting with the upscaled new Terminators.
Yep, somebody got out the bicycle pump.
Exactly. Yes. So to get all the details for these are not some new lore version of the Terminators. They're not Primaris Terminators or a new mark of armor. This is the Terminator armor that everyone's known and loved. They've essentially just been made bigger. It's just upscaling, just like what they've done with previous ranges for other factions and that kind of thing. They can be worn by Firstborn or Primaris, which I thought was a nice little thing to be like, don't worry, old boy, you can still play. And looks like maybe they're going to, continue this thing of just making all Space Marines just Space Marines again, rather than kind of separating that between Firstborn and Primaris. That'll be quite nice.
See, this is something I find really weird because, a Primaris Marine trying to jump into the new Terminator suit, is he going to get in and go, it's a bit cramped in here. Why do I have to hunch down?
Well, this is why
the old one, he'd be like, I
really wanted them to have a Primaris, but keep the proportions the same as Terminator armor is. So he'd have like really low boots, and then you'd see a big chunk of skin, and then a knee pad, and then like a big chunk of skin in the thigh guards.
So
as if he was trying to wear like a suit.
Going to school or something.
Yeah. Somebody trying to get into a suit they've not worn in 5 years type of thing.
Just whenever you wear a shirt and the belly's just a wee bit too big, and it just pulls up, just so you can just have that little peak.
Because they did say that these are the original suits. They're just ambiguated, so it's not.
Yeah, they've just been.
It's not a
new
build essentially.
Yeah. What I will say though, and I will praise them for it, is the fact that they were so restrained with the redesign of them.
Yeah,
it's basically just what you've seen a lot of fan art of Terminators look like.
Yes.
They're just a bit bulkier. There's a bit more detail where there isn't in the previous ones, and they just look a bit more intimidating. And that's all the Terminators needed.
Yeah,
all they need.
Although are the rules going to match up to it now? Because they are going to want these to sell, so I'm expecting updated rules.
They will. But they come with the same kind of loadout that you'd typically expect with Terminators. You get your kind of Stormbolter and Power Fist as standard, but they're going to have things like Chain Fists and all that kind of stuff as well. And
the Assault Cannon looks
Assault
great.
Cannon, junk, powering up and firing.
Yeah.
So I would imagine they're also going to be doing a lot of very chapter specific versions of these. So I would expect we're going to see new Deathwing and new kind of
lots of upgrade blisters on their way.
Lots of upgrade kits on the way, I would imagine, for these. I think the Terminator's looking quite nice. A nice little addition to the Space Marine faction. There's a lot more as well, but that's all sort of contained into their trailer, and we'll be seeing more previews of that later on down the line.
Weirdly, I think the head is actually smaller on the new Terminator.
It's strangely, but better proportioned, perhaps.
Well, see, it's maybe the same size. It's just the hole is bigger.
Yeah. So it's been a little bit. All the proportions have just been made a little bit better.
A tidy up.
And I see what you're saying, John. Just there are tiny extra details having been added now that they have a little more space to work with.
Because
like the venting on the face, the holes around the neck guard.
Because I don't think the previous iteration of Terminators were CAD design, or if they were CAD design, it was sort of like
early.
Yeah.
Because you can tell where they've sort of went, and it's kind of like this, but on this, like for example, on the stomach plate just below the chest plate, you have that interlocking plate that's sitting over the undersuit, and it's just, I like it there. I just like these little extra touches. It makes Terminators feel more like what they are in the lore.
Or the additional detailing on the reinforcements around the leg joints. So where those pipes were smooth on the older ones, they have that little extra step piece on there. It just feels a bit more chunky.
Cosplayers are going to go nuts for that.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure they will do.
Yes. Well, there'll be a lot of them going, damn it, I just finished the old style one. Now I have to upgrade it.
Fine.
They'll be putting the call out to their Patreons in no time. As well as the Terminators, we've also got to look at some very quick previews of what's coming for the Tyranids as well. So they're going to be getting, as we kind of postulated last week, essentially a full range refresh. Starting off with the typical Tormagunts and Hormagunts and stuff. Essentially, they've just approached these in much the fashion as you were saying, John, for the Terminators, where they've kind of just gone, we'll keep the same style of these, we'll just make them more detailed.
It's a tidy up.
It's a tidy up,
and it's well worth it.
There's a nice comparison there.
Yeah.
Where, unlike other things, they didn't even have to increase the size on it. Although, presumably, that is a 32 rather than a 25 round that they're standing on. But comparatively speaking,
just a lot more
it's just adding detail.
But still retaining, and it's something they brought up in the live stream, the fact that they're still tiny little creatures compared to a lot of other things out there in the world. And then that kind of gives the other Tyranid beasts more scale later on down the line as well. But
it does look like they've tidied up the anatomy quite a bit, just to add a little bit more detail and definition into things like around the arms and the muscles, instead of just being like a cylinder. You can actually see some muscular coming through there.
They've got it on some of those models. They just haven't painted it on some of those models.
It's always an interesting thing. It was something that was brought up actually on Twitter by someone. I can't remember their name, unfortunately, but they were saying that a lot of the time, miniatures actually are a lot more detailed than you think. It's just for painting for show. They tend, in the olden days, they just kind of like slapped big bright colors on things. But
hammered out.
Well, that was one of the old Studio Army paint schemes where they had like 60 or 80 of them
to paint.
So and the nice thing about them not massively changing the scale is if you've already painted 80 odd of them,
your old ones are going to still
I wouldn't it's not a sea change, just gloss over it, move along. There's better things to do with life.
Your brood might be intermingled with different batches.
So the new set is going to be Space Marines versus Tyranids. as was kind of seen in the little trailer they did for the game. There's a couple of videos that they did that came out for it. It's well worth going to give those a watch. It's kind of rebooting Gilliman talking about the fact that everybody thinks that they're safe, but in actual fact, all these small victories are nothing because there are darker things waiting in the shadows, and in the shadows are Tyranids. And it looks like we're going to be getting a big new kind of tyrannic war. I think they call it the fourth tyrannic war they're going into.
War, yeah.
And we're going to be seeing it's well with kind of like freeze framing your way through the trailer and being like, right, okay, so new Dreadnought, new Reaver Marines with kind of like a tyrannic veteran vibe going on, maybe for KillTeam, new Librarian and Terminator armor, obviously the new Terminators. There's a new Apothecary in what looks like Gravis armor as well, which is kind of cool. And Jerry was also talking about the fact that there's also like the what's it called? The
Screamer Killer.
The Screamer Killer Carnifex style creature is going to be coming back into the mix as well.
It's what kills him, and I think you see it later on being blasted by multiple things. But it's a new version of what was the original Screamer Killer.
Yes,
big head, 4 massive claws, although they've got an extra hinge in them.
Yeah,
than they had back in second edition.
It's like a big mouth.
Also seeing one of the Primaris there with a more traditional combi weapon. So they're maybe doing combi bolt rifles now, because I saw a flamer chucked onto the bottom of one of the bolt rifles, which looks pretty cool.
It didn't help him.
And no doubt, I'd assume we'll also get a Primaris Lieutenant in that box.
Of course. Of course.
Whole armies of nothing but Primaris Lieutenants.
Moving on to the actual big kind of other big bit of this is obviously 10th edition. So 10th edition is going to be dropping in the summer. It's not far off winter Christmas thing. This is going to be summer is when we're going to get the new edition. It's going to be, as they've described it, simplified but not simple.
Yeah.
So a lot of the DNA of Ninth will still exist, so stratagems and that kind of thing. But they've basically gone through everything from Warhammer 40,000 and said, does this need to be here? No, and ripped it out, and then taken other bits and pieces from stratagems and built that back into the units, just like they did back in the olden days, almost. This kind of means that they've kind of taken a lot of what the bloat of Ninth and kind of condensed it down a little bit more, so it should be a little easier to play, which is always handy. They've said that they want to try and get to a point where you will have 2 pages of A4 and everything you need for your army is going to be on those 2 pages. So you'll have your stratagems on 1 page, a little bit like with the new Khorne book, with the World Eaters book, where you have like 6 stratagems, 8 stratagems, something like that. And on the other side will be all of your special rules for your chapter of Space Marines, your Warlord traits, and everything like that. So it's kind of taking a little bit of what they learned from boarding actions, a little bit from what they've learned from designing the new codexes, and kind of bringing it all together so that everything should be on essentially 2 sheets of paper. They're also playing around with data cards. I'll just take you guys through the card then that they've done and shown off for the Tormagants that were shown off in the previews and things. So everything's more or less the same as what you'd expect from Ninth. So you've still got movement, toughness, strength, and all that kind of thing. Saves are still the same, and they'll be modified by AP value. Your wounds are still the same for each individual. You've got a leadership value now, and then there's the new stat which is called OC, which isn't anything to do with the show from the 2000s.
Wow.
But which is a wonderful soap. But
I thought my references were old.
But that's tied to objective control. So now each unit will have a specific objective control value that means that they can play around with what can hold things a little bit more than normal. OBSEC's no longer going to be a thing, but there'll probably be special rules that allow Space Marines to be able to hold things better than others and that kind of thing. But it also means that 2 guardsmen can't hold an objective when an Imperial Knight or something is standing on top of them or something, as they said in the preview, which I think is kind of cool. But,
so basically it's the equivalent of them looking up going, I really don't think we should be here right now. Exactly. This is maybe a bad idea.
Yeah.
I do like seeing something like the new abilities coming through. That Skulking Horrors sounds pretty cool, so that as stuff's moving around the board, these guys are like creeping up a little bit more. Yeah, so that's something that would have essentially been in Ninth a stratagem, but they've kind of tied that back into the unit profile, which I think is really nice. And again, goes with this idea of everything being self-contained within the unit cards for different units in the game. You'll also see that variants of strength and ballistic skill and that kind of thing have all then been taken out and applied separately to each individual weapon profile.
So it means that what they can do is that they can make, again, as they said in the live stream, they can make a Power Fist for a Space Marine captain work differently to a Power Fist for a Terminator or a normal Space Marine sergeant or something. So it means they can be a lot more granular with that. Essentially, they've taken Warhampedia and basically copied their homework with the layout of all these things, which is quite interesting. But I think it's a step in the right direction, which is always good to see. The other really interesting thing that came out around kind of turn structure and that kind of thing, they've taken out morale as an element of as a phase in of itself, and that's now been built into the command phase. And you no longer lose miniatures for suffering morale, but there'll be other effects that will happen to you. So maybe you won't be able to secure objectives as well, or you might not operate at the same efficiency as you once did. They've also taken out the psychic phase, so that's no longer a phase in the game. That's now tied specifically into different portions of the game anyway. So maybe your psychic powers will trigger in the shooting phase or in the close combat phase and assault and that kind of thing. So they've played around with that with a little bit more. So
that makes more sense to me, because anytime I used to play, I would always forget the psychic phase, which is why I generally just did not put psychers in my forces, because I hate it having that extra step in the turn.
As someone who plays Eldar, it's you have to remember quite a lot. But that's now going to be tied into the individual units profiles. So Smite, for example, will now just be a ranged attack. But they have played around with things to make sure that the feel of psychic abilities is still there. So you'll still be able to do things like deny and that kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing that came out of the announcement for 10th, apart from this kind of quick look at where they were going to go with the rules and things, is that they're actually going to be making everything from day one, at least to begin with, should always stipulate that, free. So all of the core rules, as they are currently, will be free. But then everything that comes out as indexes at the beginning of 10th edition will be utterly free across every faction, including, as they pointed out, Forge World vehicles, which I thought was kind of cool, for free, downloadable from the internet. So you can just grab a bunch of PDFs, get them onto your computer or your laptop or whatever, your phone, and just start playing the game, which I think is a really nice way to go.
That is going to hurt Battlescribe.
Well, yeah.
Well, Battlescribe hurt itself anyway, so.
Yeah. Fair.
Well, did they say they were downloadable? I can't honestly remember, because I do know they said there's a new Army Builder app.
Now, I would assume that everything will be, because they've done it for things like Warcry. Far Cry's a game.
So is Warcry.
Yeah, they've done it for Warcry and all that kind of stuff as well. So I'm going to assume that they're going to be downloadable PDFs, probably, for these.
Other than baked into their new app.
Although I would assume that there'll also be this new app which will be available to Warhammer Plus subscribers that will have all of the stuff in there for easy access, rather than having to have a bunch of different PDFs open, probably.
Another attempt to make people subscribe.
Well, yeah.
No, I think they said the app was free.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see if it is, because the current app I have to pay for every month. So it'll be cool.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Now, there's something I have to wonder. Warhammer Plus has been out for a good while now. Is it worth subscriing to now?
No. I'd say it's a very big kettle of fish, but I'd say probably not. No.
Okay.
The other thing with the rules, obviously, there's going to be these indexes out. They have said they're going to do physical versions of them. So if you want a book, you can buy a book, just like you did with, was it 8th edition that had
the start of 8th had all the indexes.
So you're probably able to buy those. They're also going to be making the data cards available physically, potentially as well.
Yes.
So you'll be able to go out and buy big packs of the cards. I could see a lot of people, and this is probably, I would love to be able to have the kind of like mentality to do this. I would love to just go out and get everything that's available physically and just be like, this is the only version of 10th edition I will ever play.
Well, here's the thing. If they have all of the data sheets right, as they're releasing new models through the year, all they have to do is put that data sheet in the box with the miniature. That way you don't need to make new codexes or supplement codexes or other horrendously expensive printing things.
Yeah,
they should be thanking Battlefront for that, because Battlefront's made that work.
Yeah.
With two of its major systems.
Let's not forget one of the oldest ones that always had it, but it was as a deck, which was Privateer,
which they don't do anymore.
No, they went full digital, which honestly, I think was a bit of a mistake.
Yes.
What I was going to say, there's so much stuff to talk about. But yes, so all these indexes and all these cards are going to be available physically. They have said they're not going to get rid of codexes. Codexes will still be a thing, and then will come along in the future. How that pans out, I don't know. Maybe the rules will be free, but the lore will be contained to the books or something. That would be an interesting way for them to go. I know
It'll be a nice way to split it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things I always liked about the codexes was it gave you the flavor of the faction.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes and where they go with that. I would assume we're going to be able to play demo games at Warhammer Fest, so that'll be good fun. The other interesting thing that was brought up for 10th edition is the idea that they're going to have essentially a kind of quicker, easier way to play 40k baked into essentially the DNA of the game. So Combat Patrol is going to become a mode of play. So you'll be able to pick up a Combat Patrol. It will come with all of the rules to play that force, either in the box or online digitally somewhere. And it will have certain elements of gameplay taken out of it to make it simplified. So if you are just starting out with the Leagues of Votann and Drukhari, for example, because they're the two things I can see at the center of my screen, it will have everything you need to play those, but they'll take out certain things like maybe a couple of special rules here and there and that kind of thing. It'll still play like 40k, but it'll be a quicker, easier entry point for a lot of people to dive in and have a go at the game.
I'm really curious to see how they're going to balance this.
Well,
I think a lot of those combat patrols are not balanced against each other.
Well, apparently they are.
Well, apparently they are, yes.
Oh, okay.
According to the folks. But
so I don't know if these are the actual genuine combat patrols or if these are just
these are the ones that exist so far.
So they've used these as an example. But they said all of the core concepts of 40k are run through Combat Patrol, but it is a different way to play.
Yes.
It's not just the same rules with less figures. And then you might pick up a unit and the unit may have 4 or 5 abilities or variant choices that they can make in the full 40k rules, but in Combat Patrol they'll have 1 or 2. So it's stripped back more so, and then the Combat Patrols will all be balanced. So it might be a case of going, well, the Blood Angels there, who I can see with their ridiculous, the Primacy ones. Yeah, so they've got all their bouncy intercessors and stuff. They may find that they've got more rules removed or more limitations on what their build options are to make them tailored for that box set.
I suppose if you look at the Tau with the big mech in there.
But the rest of it is made up of Tau.
Squishy. But so that the way that I kind of viewed it is that I kind of thought of it as the code 1 to the N4 of Fair. If you want to make an infinity comparison. But 10th edition coming soon. Well, summer. They've actually, penned it in there, so it'll be very fascinating to see where they go with that. Yeah. So, very cool.
It will indeed. Not the only 40k news we got.
Oh, God, no. By the Emperor, there's more.
Well, by Grabthar's hammer.
Yeah, so
by Valrak's
hammer, yes.
By Valrak's hammer,
he was right.
Of course he was.
You feel so vindicated.
I bet.
But so the final book in the Arcs of Omen series has been the worst kept secret in Games Workshop's history. Is called The Lion, and it will be introducing a new Primarch, a new Loyalist Primarch, back into the mix.
Are you sure he's Loyalist? Are you sure?
That's true, yeah. So this is Lionel Johnson, who has returned, the old man of Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan.
The Charles Dance, the Jeremy Corbyn of the.
Not a fan.
Yeah, I think the model is kind of cool myself, but
I mean, fine. The armor and everything feels right.
I've not seen the image, by the way.
The face I'm not so fond of.
Yeah. Not like in the face, then, Justin.
He has a receding hairline. A Primarch should not have a receding hairline. He looks ancient and old, and these are like the upgraded version of humanity, above and beyond Space Marine, above and beyond Primaris, even beyond a Custodes. He should not look like an old geezer.
He's also 11 millennia old.
That is true.
Does Gulliman look that bad?
He's been in stasis.
He's been in stasis.
Because, he has been in stasis for most of that,
I don't know. I just aesthetically, it's not jiving with me. Just the face of it.
Well, the interesting thing is, you can hide his face.
If I ever got him, I probably would.
Yeah.
But again, how are they even writing him back into the storyline? Has he literally just went, I am done hiding in the rock? I went to my room to pout after blowing up my home planet for 10,000 years, and now I'm back.
we'll find out when the final book comes out, but he's going to be standing forth to take down Vashtor and Angron and all the rest of them as well. These are some of the head options he's got. So I like to think of this as periods of how much coffee he's drunk. So on the right is, I haven't drank any coffee, I'm really angry. And then as it goes further left, it's like, actually, I'm happy now.
Well, is it latte, cappuccino, espresso?
Mate, well, yeah. But yeah, so I quite like the hooded but demasked version of Lionel Johnson. I think that's probably the best one.
I think we're going to see a lot of really cool versions with the hood and the helmet.
Yeah.
Because we're going to see a lot of like really sinister glow. People are painting glow.
Yeah, all your SLs. Yeah. Although I will be waiting to see someone convert it so that the wings are actually coming out up through the hood whenever he's got the helmet on,
like ripped through or something.
Yeah.
So I think it was
a practical hood.
Someone on Tabletop Titans was saying the mask and the hood version is the like Dark Souls boss take. And like you'd hear the music and then suddenly a health bar would appear and you'd be like, oh God.
I mean, it is chock full of detail. Although why do they have to call it the Emperor's Shield?
Because it's his shield.
Because apparently it's his shield, which surprised me because I've never heard of or seen any representation of him ever having a shield.
Yeah,
because he's always had the claw and the sword.
Claw in one hand, sword in the other.
Yeah.
He's also not using his own sword because Cypher still has that.
Yeah, so. Well, maybe he'll get it back someday.
Maybe. Yeah. It'd be very cool to see Cypher turn up and be like, "Here, my lord, your sword."
Hang on, I'm wondering, is Guilliman going to meet him and go, "Brother, where have you been? Here, have one of Dad's relics." Dad was a jackass. Have his stuff.
I'm fairly sure
one of his relics. He's carrying a shield.
Yeah. I think Lionel Johnson would probably be very annoyed at Rebooty Guilliman, probably. But
most people are.
Yeah. Well, he's going to turn up and go, "What do you mean you give half of the Imperium away to a Blood Angels chapter master?" What?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not just that. It's like everyone from the Emperor down has called Guilliman an idiot. The Emperor himself has apparently said, "You're nothing but a tool to me." It's like, thanks, Dad.
You could have stopped after the tool.
You could have stopped after that.
Dark Angels, First Legion, Best Legion. I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure the Space Wolves are going to be pissed off.
Yeah. Well,
what do you mean their dad came back? Where's our dad? Where's our dad?
Your dad's in the warp.
He went into the warp looking for him.
So yeah, it'll be we'll be interested in seeing how the Arcs of Omen book plays out and what they do with that and how the story ends. We obviously know that the galaxy's not going to burn to chaos because 10th edition's been announced and it all seems fine.
Is he going to blow up the last of the rock and finish the job?
It all seems fine.
We'll see. But yeah, good old man Lionel Johnson there, kicking ass, taking names in the last book.
I knew you were going to say that eventually.
Yeah.
I've heard you hold off for the last couple of weeks, Ben. Like kicking ass and taking names. Yeah, him. There it is.
I like that he's not in a ridiculous pose with a stupid flamey sword. He's
just striding forward.
He's relatively nondescript.
Yeah, and then the Watchers in the Dark coming along with him are quite nice.
As I said in the stream, if anyone was going to get a tactical rock, it would be the guy that lives in the rock.
The rock. Yeah.
Missed opportunity there, I feel, to not make him look like Sean Connery.
As the Arcs of Omen comes to a close, so does the latest season of KillTeam. As we move towards the Gallo Dark, which is the next box set that is coming out for 40,000 KillTeam. This is going to see the Leagues of Votann going up against something that, again, Valrak, man, he was right. Jesus Christ, what's going on? Against some Beastmen with the Felgor Ravagers being thrown into the mix. So this is going to be the final entry into the Dark series, where the Gallo Dark is surprisingly exploding and is about to Gallowfall. So the Leagues of Votann, who are there, the kind of going into salvage things, bits and pieces and tech and all that kind of stuff, are trying to get as much kit as they can and get to their coward pods, as they called them, or escape pods to everyone else. And make their way down planet side or whatever. But in the depths of the structure, there are the Felgors that are waiting to destroy them. So,
Although, Jerry, go back to that last image. I didn't realize they'd went to Scrap Heap Challenge to get one of the cast members on this. The guy on the right there.
Oh, dude, what's his name?
The old, was he a tank commander? The fellow
He was an ex-British Army guy or something.
I just like there's a guy with what essentially equates to brass knuckles going up against Beastmen in as well there, which is kind of cool.
Power knuckles.
Yeah, power knuckles. But yeah, so some fun little new miniatures there for the Hearthkin. That's the typical set that you get for 40k, but it comes with the upgrade sprue, as you tend to get with the KillTeam set. So one of them is always an upgrade sprue, the other one's like a full-on new plastic kit. So this will come with some additional accessories. So you get new things like the data slate and things for the Iron Kin, the jetpack for one of your Hearthkin warriors as well. There, you've got the kind of like rotating cannon and the grenade belts and that kind of stuff there too.
Yeah, one guy just rocking a bandolier.
Exactly, yeah.
Just like, I don't need no stinking guns, I have explosives.
Exactly. And then the Felgors is the full-on new plastic kit. So we did see a mercenary Beastman, essentially, in Necromunda a couple of years ago, but this is the first time that we're actually going to be seeing them essentially properly fleshed out. I suppose there were a few in Blackstone Fortress as well.
I think.
Yeah. But this is them diving in with a full new faction. They'll, potentially have rules for 40k as well, which would be kind of nice. But it's a full little set of mutated beastlings that are looking to crush everything in their path. Very combat focused, although as you can see there, they've got kind of essentially a Bray Shaman that is going to be probably gifting them some psychic powers to help them crush everything beneath their hooves.
What's with the guy just holding the shield by the top rim out in front of him in the last image?
The last picture.
Yeah, the second guy from the left.
It's a gong.
What is that?
It's like a gong, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, you can see the dents in it from where he's ringing it.
I'm coming. There's also a guy who's twisted a grenade into his beard as well, which seems like a great way to go. But yeah.
It's the Beastman equivalent of a martyr vest coming at you.
Yeah. But yeah, so Gallowdark is going to be finishing
Hoof on Rock.
Hoof on Rock. You
That's a change.
But yeah, so Gallowfall, he's going to be the last in the entry of Into the Dark, which will come with all the same terrain that you've seen before, plus some new stuff that kind of matches with the scenarios that are coming out for the Gallowfall box set. So you get the escape pods there at the back that you'll be running into, and also a kind of surgeon's room, like a medic's chamber, which is giving me very alien vibes.
Dental chair.
Yeah. And unfortunately non-functional life support pods.
I think that was... I think that's because it's a narrative mission, isn't it? That's what they're in looking for, is the survivors in those, for whatever reason. I do like the fact that they're taking the drop pod aesthetic for the life pods.
Savior pods,
yeah. It's cool. It's a cool idea.
I imagine they're going to have to fire straight through the roof, though, because you've been working your way up in Gallowdark to the bridge. So...
It'd just be like launched through all the layers.
If you launch through down, you're going to hit previous iterations. And floors.
Maybe just have demo charges on the outside wall, and let the explosive decompression drag you out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but
there you go.
But yeah, some cool stuff there for KillTeam if you want to go down that route and play some skirmish games.
Weird thing about this was, he said, high questioning voice, when they were doing the reveal and they were talking about it. Yeah, they did reference the fact that the Imperium have Beastmen. Now, I don't know if that's just because he's old enough to remember, but based on what he was saying, like, this was my first model, at one point when they were looking like the lizard men, I think, or termagants or something. Yeah. I don't think he's old enough to remember a human Beastman in the Imperium, as far as gaming goes. Yeah. So maybe we'll see the return of some actual Imperial Guard Beastmen to be chucked forward.
Cadian outfits. Yeah.
Just give them just one needs a breastplate and a las pistol, and the rest can just charge forward and butcher things.
Yeah. In the buff.
So, yeah. That's the way to do it.
But yeah, so make sure to go and check out the KillTeam stuff that's flying around soon as well. We finished things off just very quickly with some Horus Heressy news. The Big Black Book series is going to be returning for the new edition of the game. The new book's going to be called The Siege of Cathonia. And this is a brand new Horus Heressy book that is focused around the War Master's homeworld and the fight to essentially control it for both the traitors and the loyalists. There's going to be a big, heavy focus on the Sons of Horus going up against the Imperial Fists, as you might have imagined. There's going to be new character miniatures that will be applied to both of those forces from Forge World and Plastic, I imagine, as well in the future. And there's going to be a big narrative campaign for you to play through to see who comes out on top. Going to be options for you to include other legions in there as well. So there's going to be like Loyalist, Thousand Sons, I believe, which I think is kind of pretty awesome. And they've also said they're going to be putting in a bunch of Zone Mortalis rules like baked into the rules now. So rather than just being part of like I think it was like a White Dwarf supplement or a download or something in the past, they're now just going to be actually baked into the Horus Heresy rules. So we'll have some updates in there as well for playing smaller games of Horus Heresy in type Pact environments and things like that. So yeah, the Return of the Big Black Book series, which is kind of cool.
Funky stuff.
Nice.
There does seem to be a driving push towards more narrative as well. And they were saying even things like the fact that they're labeling the 10th edition as the start of the fourth Tyrannic War, that Crusade would be a major thing going forward as well. So it's
I like that stuff. Yeah, it's very cool.
It's not all about pushing the points all the time, which is a good thing.
Not about having 2K points and playing tournaments.
Yeah. It's mostly that. But
it is mostly that.
Mostly that. Shall we have a look at something else from Adepticon then?
Yeah. So we'll take a little bit of break from Games Workshop news. We'll be back to that in a second. But another big announcement was that Gallowfall are going to be building on their Battlefield in a Box range, which is all their pre-painted terrain, with Hextech. And John is going to have a nice little smile in the corner there.
John always has a nice little smile in the corner.
I am a very charming person.
Yeah. So Hextech is going to be their new series of terrain that's coming out that is suitable for, as you might have imagined, Battletech. You could also use it for Steel Rift and everything else in 6mm, essentially, really. Or 8mm, for that matter. Or maybe even 10mm.
Full spectrum gob.
Yeah. So there's going to be 6 box sets that come out at launch. Each of them is going to come with a selection of box buildings in the box that come in 2 different colors. As I say, they're all pre-painted and ready to go. So you just need to whack them down on the tabletop and boom, you're playing alongside your mechs and everything else like that. They're also going to come with the removable hex bases underneath them. So you can either have them attached to them, so you can just sort of use them to kind of work them into your maps and that kind of thing. Or you can take them off and you can just have them fitted into essentially any games and configurations that you want, essentially.
Or Alpha Strike.
Or Alpha Strike, yes.
Although, what do you think, John? Looking at these, I think an extra little dose of a wash onto these just to really make the details pop might be in order.
We need to get them in our hands first before we decide on that.
Yeah. True, but just from what we're seeing there.
If you're playing it in the Battletech universe, you can be either clean high sci-fi or dirty dystopian sci-fi. Like it can be either.
Yeah, true. Just from the look of them, from what I'm seeing there on the renders, I think just a little hint of extra wash just in some of the detail parts.
These aren't renders.
These aren't renders.
Oh, those are the actual. Okay, then definitely crying out for a little extra wash in some of the details where it's just a little flat, a little monotone.
Maybe a little OSL on those windows.
Maybe.
Could be cool. That'd be cool.
Anyway.
So these were designed by Christopher Wales, who's Thunderhead Studios, I believe they are. So they've kind of worked with them because they realized that this creator was doing some amazing stuff, and you could get hold of them as 3D prints and that kind of thing. But Gallowfall are always there to try and make things a little easier for everybody when it comes to getting stuff to the tabletop, and so that's where Hextech comes in. Obviously, Battletech is having a huge resurgence at the moment, Kickstarters and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, John going bankrupt.
Yeah, and so having Hextech available for people, all pre-painted, all ready to go, just seems like a no-brainer to me. If you picked up that first raft of boxes, I think you'd be pretty much set for a whole host of BattleTech games without much issue, really, and playing out in playing around in urban environments and that kind of stuff. So yeah, very nice stuff there from Gallowfall side.
It'll be interesting to see where they go because they said this is a collaboration with Thunderhead.
Yes.
So there's more of the Hextechs coming. And potentially it opens the door then to do collaborations with other designers as well.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Which is, always handy for people who don't 3D print or don't want to 3D print, like myself, really can't be arsed. I'll never have one. So the opportunity to get nice cast pieces like this.
And pre-painted as well.
And pre-painted.
Yeah.
Especially for the Battletech crowd who let's face it, there's a significant percentage are older and probably more of my mindset of I'm not doing that. I'm not downloading a thing onto a staff to put in a doodad and make none of that. Whereas you just go, I'll have that in some boxes, please. Thanks.
So is this that moment of Jerry used to be with it, then they changed what it was. Now what's it is strange and scary to him, and it will happen to you.
It will happen to you. Yep, very much so. But it's a really nice design aesthetic.
Yeah, I love that tan and grey.
Yeah, I wonder. So is it each kit just comes with 2 of these then?
Yeah, so you get most. I think it's 4 of the kits are 2 buildings per set, and then there are 2 kits which are larger pieces. So they're kind of like skyscrapers, or
it says in the bottom of the image.
Yeah. So you'll probably want to pick up a good dose of this.
Yeah. As I say, I reckon if you picked up all 6 boxes or something, you'd be pretty much sold for the rest of your time playing BattleTech.
Seeing how John has laid his out, I think you'd maybe want 2 of each box.
Well,
I think we're also playing too big a space as well.
Yeah.
Fair.
A standard, I'm not sure what Alpha Strike is like, but BattleTech maps are like A3 type of size. They're
okay.
Classic
tech is very small.
Fair.
You're in on top of one another very quickly. So having what's this, Trinity City, I think it's called. Yeah, Trinity City.
Yes, Trinity City.
Having it sort of laid out in one corner or fighting through the middle of downtown plazas. You wouldn't need to break the bank to do it, which is always good.
Yeah. So just the first of a bunch of announcements from Gallowfall 9. Watch out for more very soon. Very cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what else is coming from that.
Very nice stuff. Moving back to Games Workshop, because we can't leave them alone. They must be here. You must go to store.OnTableTop and buy miniatures for Warhammer.
Buy merch.
It helps all the merch. So looking at the Mortal Realms, we had some big new updates on that front as well. I wanted to start off with the thing that I most liked from the previews, because Lizardmen are cool.
Yeah.
But scroll back up.
Right.
Wow. There we go. Yes.
I'd go past all the Lizardmen. I'd go all the way to the bottom.
So these are the cities of Sigmar. So this is the new look, updated, revamped feel for the cities of Sigmar. These are the poor mortals that have been given an axe and a shield and a helmet that doesn't fit and been told to head out into the mortal realms to build great cities in the name of the God King. So as you can imagine, they either really, really love him or hate his guts.
Or, press ganged into it.
Yeah. The thing that I really liked about this is that it's so good to finally be seeing the actual mortals of the mortal realms that end up fighting all the day-to-day battles. Because we've seen so much stuff for the Stormcast Eternals and seen their perspective and that kind of thing. And I guess it's cool that the Free Guild were a thing and they've carried them through from the Empire. But that aesthetic never really matched to me in terms of like the feel and the kind of aesthetic of the Mortal Realms, whereas this definitely gives me those kind of like Age of Sigmar vibes. And I like that it's a kind of a mix of what we saw for kind of the Empire back in the day, with also a little bit of the Bretonnians to them as well, in terms of kind of like the helm designs and that kind of stuff too. And all the different houses and all the different cities being, shown by markings on their shield and that kind of stuff.
Although that guy in the middle, the symbol on top of his helmet is just, I don't know, there's a little bit, do, a baby coin. Do.
Okie dokie.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't know what you're on about.
No.
It feels a little corny.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Maybe he comes from a realm where battle is everywhere all the time.
So what? He's just slowly getting into the corny cult, and every time he gets a little bit more into it, does it just?
Yeah, and every so often he just rubs off another Sigmarite marking on his armor. So.
I imagine they're also doing this to make more of a division.
Yeah,
between Age of Sigmar and the old world.
Yep, which is coming back.
Yeah.
Well, they've been saying it's coming back.
That would confuse people.
Yeah. So, I've read quite a few Mortal Realms books, Age of Sigmar books, and it's always been fascinating seeing all the different cultures that they've created for those books, but they've never ever been represented in model form. And so it's really nice to be able to have these big cities of Sigmar represented in a nice way, and hopefully we'll see lots of different variants and options for the different kingdoms and realms within the Mortal Realms as well.
Is there any more of these that have been shown off this time around?
This is just the first 3.
This is way out. The only other thing they showed was this design in the corner, where they referred to that square as a 12-pointed star of Sigmar. And I looked at it and went, it's a square. But anyway, so yeah, Sigmar's 12-pointed star. And then around are all the various cities. I think they said that 6 of them have been referenced or named before.
Yeah, so you'll have things like
haven't.
Yeah, so you'll have some of the ones like Ironweld and stuff like that have been sort of, I think it's Ironweld that have been shut off, and Greyfast and that kind of thing. There's loads of cities that have already been referenced and things. So yeah, it'll be fun to see where they go with it in the future.
Still, it's a square, not a 12-pointed star. Jesus.
But the other big reveal was for the Lizard Men, the Seraphon.
Oh, my scrolling for nothing.
It's because I messed around with the order of things, Jerry.
No, that's fine. No.
So you've got your new updated plastic miniatures for the Seraphon. Leading the way is the Scar Veteran, as you can see there on the Agrodon. Everyone's just probably going to keep calling it a cold one, I think. But that's your new kind of updated version of the Scar Veteran. So these are the kind of albino-born Saurus within Seraphon society that have been kind of gifted, powers and mighty strength and that kind of thing to lead their armies into battle. And so you got him on the back of one of those. You've also got the standard Agrodons there with the Lancers. These are the specific replacements for the cold ones that already exist in the game. So these will be the new updated ones that come with the battle tome. And these are like no slouch when it comes to scale, apparently. They're actually pretty big. So they're big feck off dinosaurs, essentially.
I imagine they had to invigilate them because they've got things like the Chaos Knights and stuff like that, which are all much bigger now.
Dracoth Riders and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that.
The musician is quite interesting with the drums strapped on in front of his saddle.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's kind of cool. And of course, you've got the new Luxorus on the back as well. So these are the updated ones with their big winkies. Riding around, which is quite nice. Moving on from the Agrodons, there was also a look at the new Croxigor models who have been given, who have definitely hit the gym since we last saw them.
No skipping leg day.
Like Swallow Wren.
Yeah, so you've got the Croxigors there with their awesome kind of like star maces and all that kind of stuff. And then there's the Croxigor Warspawned. So as they kind of talked about in the live stream, the Croxigor kind of do a lot of the day-to-day stuff like heavy lifting and that kind of thing. The Croxigor Warspawned are the ones that dedicated themselves entirely to war. And so they're the kind of people that are like, no, bro, I don't carry your weird stones around. I just fight things, man.
I mean, they do have a bit more of a savage feel to them, which I'm quite digging.
Yeah, and for the properly, they actually look like crocodiles now, which is kind of cool.
Well, yeah, the Warspawn certainly do.
Yeah,
the regular,
are very much more dinosaur
lift and carry.
Yeah.
Actually, look a lot more like the cold one heads.
They do actually,
little chins. Oh, we know where they've come from then.
Yeah.
I mean, see, these ones look mildly more intelligent than the other ones.
They're slightly bit, yeah. So they'll come with fancy weapons and that kind of stuff, and you'll be able to throw them into your games.
So it's maybe less of them saying no. It's just these ones are not smart enough to carry the stones.
Well, maybe that's true.
The Warspawn have a bit of jock energy about them.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They are. Do you even lift, bro? Yeah. So that's going to be a dual kit, that one. So you'll be able to make both forces out of those. The new models that we'd seen previously are also going to be available as part of a battle box. So the Croxigor, unfortunately, and some of the Agrodons aren't going to be in there, but the new box set will come with the new Slan miniature alongside the cavalry that we'd seen for the Skinks, and you also get the new Saurus Warriors as well. So if you want to dive in and play around with those, you're going to get a new box set for them very, very soon.
Looks like it's been poured into that seat.
Yes. Moving on from Seraphon, there was also a little bit of an undead preview as well. So we got something for the dry and something for the wet lovers of undead out there. So the Mortisan Ossifector, God, the naming conventions are wild nowadays. They are essentially a support unit for your Ossiarch Bone Reapers, able to craft and recraft the bones of fallen Bone Reapers to fight once more in battle. Looking kind of cool. Pretty awesome.
It's almost like he's doing macaroni art.
Stick it on the fridge.
Look at what I made, Father. Look at what I made.
Oh my God, I can't unsee that now.
You're welcome.
And there's also, for your wet undead, there is also the new vampire character Ivyar Volga, who is for the Soulblight Gravelords. She is a little bit different from some of her other Soulblight companions in that she hunts just monsters. So she goes out and she hunts monsters, kills them, chops their head off with that big axe, and then she drinks the blood of the beasts that she slays, which I think is kind of metal. I
mean, you know, when you see someone that's just trying a little bit too hard to be goth, that's all I can see here.
Yeah. She does have a swarm of bats, yeah, and she can use that to confuddle her enemies before she leaps in and cuts them to pieces. As you can see, very much going with the kind of the Radakar, the beast kind of vibe. So you've got the wolven legs underneath there, so she'll probably be a good fit for Radakar and his clan as they're fighting it out across the mortal realms. So yeah, very nice. This thing brings me to the kind of roadmap for what's happening with Age of Sigmar going forward.
Yeah.
So there's going to be the new battle tomes for the Otyarch Bone Reapers and the Soulblight Gravelords coming out in the spring, alongside what we've already seen for the Head Knights of Slaanesh and the Disciples of Khorne. Summer is going to be the time to get all Seraphony. So get your Seraphon.
No, just get your Seraphon.
Ready?
No, just get your Seraph on.
Seraph on. Yeah, that actually makes more sense. Yeah. So that's going to be the book for the summer. And then in the autumn, we're going to be getting the Cities of Sigmar book, which will then be added to by that new plastic range. And there's also going to be 2 mystery battle tomes in the middle there as well. But it'll be interesting to see what people think is going to come out of that. There we go. Very cool. And finally, for the Worlds of Warhammer. And finally, it's not going to be a new segment about a squirrel on a jet ski or anything like that.
Oh, Jerry's disappointment.
Very, very much disappointed.
We got a new addition to the Warhammer Underworld series. This is called Weird Hollow, and this is going to be the new season essentially for Warhammer Underworlds, which is all about magic. And this is going to have the forces of the Stormcast Eternals going up against Tzeentch and a Gaunt Summoner. We're getting 2 very cool warbands, in my opinion. The first of these is the Emphilim's Pandemonium, because you see they've got the A and the E there for demon.
I see what they've done there.
There's going to be added into the mix. This is a Gaunt Summoner that looks like a weird-ass painting. I absolutely love it.
This feels properly Tzeentchy.
Yes. And they're kind of attempting to open up a sort of portal in the depths of the mortal realms in order to summon forth all of these kind of weird, twisted Tzeentchian beasts in the name of their master. So yeah, some very cool miniatures there for Ephelin there and the Pandemonium. But then you've also got Domatan's Storm Coven, which is the Stormcast Eternals, because of course you've got to have the good guys in there somewhere. So Domatan himself is one of the heads of the Knights Arcanum of the Valedictor Temple, because of course he is.
Yes,
and they're clad in their Stormstrike armor, so that means they're safe from the storms. It's all good. And they're going to be rocking around, doing all kinds of like Jedi Force moves, throwing rocks at people and stuff like that.
Why is Michael Myers Stormcast Eternal?
I can hear the music now in my head.
Oh man, you just need to convert the weapon into like a big kitchen knife.
Yeah, but so that set's coming out. It's going to have everything you need to start playing the game, as always. It's going to come with a bunch of rival decks in there, so you can sort of get playing straight out of the box, which is quite nice. But as I said, the focus is going to be on magical power. So yeah, it'd be fun to dive into this and see what they do with it and things like that. I'd love to play a little bit of Warhammer Underworld. It'd be really fun. But yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
nice stuff.
4 decks in the set. The 2
4
for
decks in the set.
The spook, and then additional 2 that you can chuck in wherever
with any warband you like, which is kind of cool. So
interesting way of getting into it. I do really like the Tzeentchian look.
It's so fun. Yeah,
because they've really gone ham.
They have
all of the all of the demons in a whole variety of ways. So yeah, and they're leaning into it doesn't have to be bipedal.
Yes.
So,
yeah, demons of all kind of different strokes.
Yeah,
which is nice.
Yeah. It's always great.
Mm-hmm.
Now we started the show with 15 mil historics.
Yes.
And we're swinging back round to them again.
We are. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I say 15 mil.
Yeah. So not everything is about Adepticon. There are also a couple of news stories we're going to go through, which have been sort of floating around, which I think are really nice for a little bit of historical fun. So one of these is the addition of the new character sets and terrain for Pike&Shotte Epic Battles from Warlord Games. So they've done 4 new sets, kind of like what they've done in the past for the Napoleonic stuff and that
ACW
and ACW and that kind of thing. So be able to pick up different sets of commanders in that kind of 13.5 mil scale or 50 mil, whichever one you go, I suppose, for you to dive in and have fun with. People will ask. Don't do what I did and write 10 mil on a news story and then leave it for a week and then come back and be like, I have confused everybody. But there we go. So there's going to be 4 sets. There's 2 for the 30 Years' War. There's the Imperialist Commanders, which comes with Count von Tilly, Wallenstein, Picom Limini, Pappenheim, and Cardinal Infante Ferdinand. Yeah. I got all the words right.
Oh, yeah. You've been practicing this.
And then there's one for the Protestant Alliance commanders. So you've got Gustavus Adolphus, Johann George I, Christian IV of Denmark, Akhetot, and Louis de Bourbon. Oh my God, I love that last one.
Why is Johann's horse just like chilling? Everyone else's horses are like doing some weird galloping or...
Adolphus's one looks like someone's just put a branding iron to its backside.
It was the Lion of the North. If he wasn't charging, he was,
maybe Johann's just really relaxed, man.
We'll say that horse is the wrong color. Because we know what color that horse is because it's stuffed in the royal palace in Stockholm.
Oh yes, it is.
Really?
Died on it. Yeah.
God, yeah.
I've got pictures of him somewhere, and it wasn't done.
Yeah,
but anyway.
But yeah,
it's not often you can horse count somebody.
That's true. Yeah,
we've also got
we've also got 2 sets for the English Civil War side of things as well. So you've got the one for the Royalist commanders. So we've got King Charles I, as you would have thought, alongside Prince Rupert, Prince Maurice, Ralph Hopton, and Lord Astley as well. So if you want to be on the side of the feathery nobles, you can be. But if you want to have no fun whatsoever,
none of the fun.
You hang around with Cromwell,
Lord Protector of England.
I will have no one have any fun here because I had no fun when I was young. So we've got Cromwell alongside Sir Thomas Fairfax, Sir Arthur Halsring, Sir William Waller, and the Earl of Essex. Not as I wrote, early Essex in the show notes, but there we go.
Maybe it was. That's what they called him. He was always showing up before the battle started. Yeah. Good old early Essex is here.
Early Essex, he's a little bit girly.
So you got 4 awesome sets there, I think, for people who want to dive in and play with particular characters from this period. Add this in alongside your kind of generic commanders and stuff that you can get in the start set and things, and away you go, really. Kind of cool. There's also some new terrain as well. So they've done 2 new sets of MDF stuff. So you've got the townhouses scenery pack there, which is just pretty nice for putting together fun little urban and rural environments, I suppose, if you wanted to. Nice things for you to go in and take control of in the name of the king and or Cromwell, really. And there's also this, which is very kind of English Civil War, this period, which is the Star Forts, which has got nothing to do with Star Wars. Although it would be nice to have a big laser in the middle.
You're not the boss of me.
Yeah. But yeah, set these up on your tables and you will instantly be transported back to this period of time. Get your cannons up in the corners alongside your handgunners and everything else as well. Have your commanders hanging out.
Enfilading fire going on.
Exactly, yeah. And you'll have a pretty defensible position, no doubt, on the tabletop with one of these. So yeah.
Very good for North America as well.
Yeah.
Plenty of them kicking around there in Canada and during French Indian Wars and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Nice bit of kit that. I'm trying to work out whether or not it tesslates enough that you could make bigger or more unusual versions.
I would imagine you could make it larger because I think the set the longer sections in the middle could obviously then be bulked out to give you additional width.
That's the weird thing because they have that angled basing.
Oh God, they are actually, aren't they? Yeah. Oh, so that'd be weird.
Well, I mean, unless you put like some hedging or shrubbery in between the sections.
Maybe.
Shrubbery? No, you don't want to put shrubberies in there.
The badgers to crawl through.
Yeah. End up with TB all over the place. It'd be terrible. Clarkson's been doing his best to get rid of that.
Can we shoot them?
Yeah.
No. Can we run them over? No.
You can accidentally kill them, but if I'm caught accidentally killing one, I'm in trouble. Yes.
And then just to sorry, Jerry.
Sorry, no, I'm just bouncing these because I really like these. Curious. I'm curious.
I'm very tempted by all these because, as I've said in the past, the English Civil War is one of those periods that I'm very interested in. But yeah, very cool. Capping things off. Don't worry, we're coming to the end of the news now. As Lloyd would say last week, all the cool kids can go off now somewhere. Apparently, only the cool kids watch the news. Right. Nice. So we have some new stuff for from the Perrys. This was kind of released as a little bit of a awesome thing at the start of the week, and everyone went very mad for it. So this is a set of Ottoman soldiers in metal and 28mm for use during your Napoleonic battles on the tabletop. The designs have been made to cover the period, I'm reliably informed, 1790 to 1815, but they can be used to represent troops that fall just a little bit on either side of that timeline as well. You will note throughout the collection that they are all armed with European weapons, because that's the kind of way that they want to go to begin with these, is to give the idea of creating European armed and European trained Ottoman soldiers and that kind of stuff from that period of history. They are also working to do a set of these troops with Ottoman style weapons and things. So watch out for that in the future. But this is kind of what's available at the moment. They cover a range of different kind of regiments and factions and that kind of thing. So you've got the Nizim Aisidid, which is one of the sets. There's also the Solak Peak Guard, the Boustangis, the Levend, Shiflik, and the Us Kadur. So there we go.
I am just going to call this the Von Fancy Hat War.
Well, I'd say that's pretty much applicable to all of the Napoleonic period. The Fancy Hat Wars.
Didn't have fancy hats, no point in turning up.
Exactly, yeah. But it's a good way to make sure you don't kill your friends, I suppose. Yeah.
Is his hat the same as mine? No, he died.
So there's a really nice selection of very colourful troops for you to throw into your games. One of the things that the Perry talked about is that they'd been waiting to release this until there was some good books and reference material for it. The links in the news article will go to kind of like the Facebook and stuff like that. I think I put the link in there. If I haven't, I'll remember to do it. That's to the web store and stuff at the bottom. But if you, there's kind of like some references to the books and things like that have been thrown into the mix there. So make sure to go and have a look at that. I don't think I put it in now. I'm going to embarrass myself.
That's right. We'll assume one of those links that I'm not going to click, is it?
Yeah. I'll just put it in after. This is the joys of filming it earlier in the week.
Clever.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's really nice to see the Ottomans getting a run out as well for the Napoleonics. Yeah. And I think, if memory serves, the old Westphalia range is with Black Hussar in Germany. So they've got additional stuff there that should scale quite well if you want to add in. They've also got things like swivel guns mounted on camels and stuff as well for more of the Afghan and Arabian bits and pieces. But it means you can sort of explore the fringes of the Napoleonic Wars rather than just always doing Waterloo all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Away you go.
Excellent stuff. Right.
Oh, so much news.
So much news. So very, very much. We shall return in just one moment after our bladders have been drained with Kickstarters. Okay, we're back to round out the show with some Kickstarter campaigns. And once again, we're going to 15mm historics. It's very 15mm historic type of game day. Just feeling it.
Yeah. I mean, there is a theme developing.
If only Games Workshop had announced Epic, then we could have had like an entire episode of
the 15mm show.
Scale.
Yeah. Technically, it should be 6mm, but we know with scale creep, it would have been 15 by that stage.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Can we just get more time released again?
No.
I bet it'll come.
Not anyway, allowed it.
Yes. So our first Kickstarter comes from the Wargamer Games Company. And you might remember these folks because we talked about them back in the eons of time. So by Fire and Sword, an awesome 17th century war game set a little bit off from where you would have thought. This is set in Eastern Europe, which I think is pretty awesome. And there's also a little bit of Northern Europe in there as well, for good measure.
It covers a big chunk that period, but the focus shifts more east. East and south.
Yes. So this is a game system that has been around for a while, but it is coming back onto Kickstarter with this new campaign, which is looking to fund the second edition of the game, so you can dive in and have fun with it. As I say, the rules are going to be updated. They're allowing you, as seems to be the way now, to play big fun battles out without the rules getting too much in the way. So they're meant to be quick and easy to dive into and have fun with. One of the things that I said there as well is obviously it covers this kind of 17th century. So, a lot of people have been talking about things like the English Civil War and 30 Years' War and that kind of thing.
Exactly the same time period.
Yeah, but this moves things over a little bit. So you're looking at the armies for the likes of the Lithuanians, Cossacks in general, Swedes, Imperials, the Tatars, the Ottomans, the Muscovites, Danes, and the Brandenburgians, and everything else in between, which I think is kind of cool. The game system itself, I've not had a chance to play it myself, but I have heard that it's got some really fun little unique things in it. So it's got this kind of an order system built into it, and the role of commanders seems a lot more of a focus in this game, which I quite like. And kind of seems very befitting to the period. They also talked a little bit about the idea that things have been designed from the ground up to engage with the idea of asymmetrical gameplay as well. So they've done it so that it works very historically in that respect, because not every battle was ever going to be equal numbers per side. Everyone makes sure send those guys back. You're not allowed them, kind of thing.
But it's even the quality of some of the forces in the historical battles. Rome versus the German barbarians.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And so they've really approached the game with that kind of thing in mind with this, and sort of put together an interesting selection of rules in order to deal with that element of things. There's also stuff in there for reconnaissance, and they also use alternate activation between the two different forces as well, which I think is quite nice. So it's something where there'll always be like a back and forth between the different players and stuff on the tabletop, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a game that's been around for well over a decade now in its first edition version, and they were saying it got to the point where the source material, because much of it hasn't been translated into English previously, that the sort of the army lists and the stuff they did for Polish Lithuanian Commonwealth and the other forces around that area have become sort of go-to guides for people looking for the historical side, especially wargamers, simply because there's no other English translations of the stuff available. So the amount of accuracy they've pushed into the previous edition is nice as well, because it gives you the real sort of overview. So you can see here the PDFs for the army lists. All these 3 PDFs are on the Kickstarter, and you can download them and have a look at what's happening with the second edition version of the rules, cool. And give you a bit of context for how the game sort of comes together, what the forces are like for the scenarios and for what you're going to be playing through. So I think there's even access to the early army builder as well, which is going to be an online version. So it's nice that there's a comprehensive amount of stuff there, because the Kickstarter itself isn't just a new edition. It also covers the individual rules, the individual scenario book, and then there are 2 army list books are planning on being published. So if you've already got figures for that particular time, then you can go ahead and just pick up the books if you like how the system plays out. I'm intrigued by the idea that you've got that command and control. So even though you've got your bird's eye view, because you are leaning over a tabletop and you can see what's happening, just because you tell people to go and take that hill or stand on that hill,
they won't necessarily do it.
They won't necessarily do it, or they won't suddenly take advantage of chasing somebody who's appeared in front of them because they've been told to stand on that hill. So you need to push orders towards them via
as you said, like officers have kind of like an aura of influence. So it's who they could shout to or get a bugle call to or something like that, which I think is kind of cool. So, on the miniature side of things, They're going to be a lot of their stuff has previously been done in metal, but they're going to do a mix of, in the general release of stuff, they're going to do a mix of both metal for the likes of riders and troops and things, and then elements like horses and cavalry are going to be done in thermoplastic, which I think is kind of cool. They have also said they're going to be doing a 2-player starter set, which you can get your hands on as part of the Kickstarter campaign, and this is going to be the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth going up against the Ottoman Empire, and in this. They're doing something very, very interesting. They're doing something where the riders are in thermoplastic, but the horses are in plastic, which is kind of cool. But essentially, it makes it a quicker and easier thing to dive into and easier to play around with when it comes to miniatures handling and that kind of stuff as well. Should hopefully mean that the production of it is a lot quicker as well, which I think is quite nice. So you'll be able to dive in and play essentially the game with a 2-player starter set, which has been designed for you to just get started with the game, which is kind of cool. And then beyond that, I think their idea is that they want to try and move towards plastics as a
plastic
whole.
And CO-cast are going to be the way to go with the increase in metal costs. Yeah.
As you can see, they've also got a whole bunch of stretch goals that they're unlocking for different characters and individuals that you'd be using in new games. But they're also reeled off a series of different factions and kingdoms and that kind of stuff. They're also going to be doing starter sets for all of those. So you'll be able to get starter sets for Lithuanians, Cossacks, Swedes, Imperials, Tartars, Ottomans, Muscovites, Danes, and Brandenburgians as well. So if you maybe aren't particularly drawn in by the Polish, Lithuanian, or the Ottomans, you'd be like, right, I want to collect Swedes, and my buddy's going to collect Imperials and play that way and stuff. I think it's quite nice. So,
collect Swedes, and your buddy's going to collect Danes. Themselves at each other over and over again. It's the way these things go. Interesting thing, because they've got a comprehensive catalog already. They were saying that this is the fancy new exciting box art that you're seeing here. You won't be getting that. Some of these things are going to be maybe 2 years out from retail.
Right.
So you'll get the stuff after the campaign in just standard boxes, and then they'll be using this to get the molds produced so that they can start replacing the stuff. But it means that if there's something in particular you're looking at, you're going, oh, well, that would be a nice force, then you may be waiting a while for it to hit retail. As they said, it's a genuine Kickstarter because they need to fund the production of all the bits and bobs. So the 2-player starter set will be shiny. Everything else will just be plain white boxes with the names on it, and then you'll just have to.
You'll have to make do.
Yeah, make do.
Well, I mean,
you're not buying it for the boxes.
Do you really need a shiny box for your Kickstarter? I mean, fine, if it's a board game, definitely. But whenever it's something like this, miniature war games based,
exactly,
plain box does the job.
Yeah.
They're also hammering through stretch goals, and
they really are.
Interesting thing about it is they're unlocking stuff that doesn't look like it's been unlocked here yet. They're unlocking stretch goals, but they haven't reached the target. That's because there's a Polish crowdfunding website that they're running simultaneously. So the target is the target combined. So if they go, we need $30,000 to unlock this, they currently have about $7,000 or $8,000 on the Polish side, and then both of those sites get updated simultaneously.
Oh wow!
So they're counting the two totals together.
Yes, yeah,
cool.
So, and they have a link kicking around. Another interesting thing they've done for shipping is you have a choice for VAT payment if you're in the UK. You can either choose to pay it. If you're in Northern Ireland, it means it'll come straight through because you're paying VAT in an EU country. It doesn't make a difference. If you're in Great Britain, you can choose to pay it or not. But then obviously you'll have to deal with the extra paperwork handling and all the rest of the fees and stuff that go with that. But it may be more applicable to you in GB. So it's a case of trying to make it as easy as possible. But yeah, it's
the joys of both being in and not the European Union.
It's handy sometimes.
Yeah,
it's handy. But yeah, it's fascinating to see where they're going to go with. I've heard the first edition was a really solid rule set, but we had
quite a good look at it, I think.
But the translation and the like was where people ran into issues. Right. They've obviously 10 odd years of experience now behind them.
Well, that's a key thing
as well.
A rule set that can stand for around 10 years must be pretty damn good.
Yeah,
it'll be fascinating to see where they go with this. And like I said, with everybody seeming to jump on board the 15 15 mil in the 17th century. It's nice that Fire and Sword's getting a second edition as well. So, yeah, that is, like I say, already funded, already smashing through stretch goals.
Nice and easily done. Yeah.
And 20 days left on it.
Mm-hmm.
We have one final Kickstarter.
One more, just one more. It's wafer thin. Don't worry, guys. We're nearly there.
A little wafer thin. This is from Zenith.
It is. Oh, look, he's backed.
Shut up. Shut up.
This is Sakurakami, the Jewel of the Empire from Zenith Miniatures. And you know what? You know, Jerry, you've backed. You know what you're doing. You go for it.
It's a whole bunch of ninja and samurai women.
Yeah.
I've actually backed it for ridiculous level, I think, is how that one was broken down.
Yeah, I can see your selection.
So, Zenith have I think it's actually another free to download rule set for their feudal Japanese fantasy game, which is what this is aimed at. So the Sakurakami Jewel of the Empire puts together a warband for that. I've picked it up partly because I'm curious as to how that plays, but also because I've recently got Clash of Katanas, and so they may find themselves woven into the old Clash of Katanas. I know we're all shocked. Beautiful set of metal miniatures in a variety of, as you can see, equipment and weaponry and arms and armor. So we've got sort of fully armored samurai types, and then sort of half armored as well.
Katana, Yari, Yumi, Naginata, and more.
Yes,
and I'm also seeing some terrain pieces in there.
There are a whole host of terrain pieces. So these are pre-printed plastic based.
It's a bit like the stuff
that you used
to get from Plascraft. Yeah.
And I did see there's some STL stuff in there, so you might tap Shay and John.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I've mostly got it for this. Well, I say I've mostly got it for this. This little village is nice. But I've mostly got it for the massive fortress. So you can pick up the individual pieces as add-ons. So if you just want small huts and houses or buildings, you can get those. However, there are also substantially more when we hit further down. Here we go. So as you can see, we've also got some monks, ninja-like assassin and cavalry, which I'm very much at home for all of this. Obviously more fantastical in that respect, but I'll still find a home for some of them in Clash.
I was very childish and just thought that one of those ninjas is using fart magic to get around.
I know you did, but I chose to ignore you because I am the better man. Variety of pledge levels, obviously. You can get the individual figures, the figures in terrain, or you can just get the terrain by itself if you're just wanting stuff for the tabletop. If you've already got something like Clash of Katanas or Ronin or whatever happens to be
houses, for walls.
The massive fort is where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to keep the plebs out.
Very, very much so. And I really like this because if I'm going to be playing on like a 3x3 or whatever, even if I'm not playing the Kensai game, it gives me plenty of stuff. Price-wise, it's a little cheaper than buying maybe some of the MDF or resin pieces. I mean, it's similar pricing. But the fact that it's all painted makes my life so much easier.
A question, Jerry. So the battle mat that we're seeing all the terrain laid out on, is that in the Kickstarter or is that just from another company?
It's just from another company.
I think that's just for illustrative purposes.
Yes.
Okay. No, it's just something like that. It's very nice looking and feeling to go with the terrain. So being able to either get that or recreate that, would be nice.
See if you could take that image and maybe get it done by like deep cut or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Cool.
Yeah, well, you just need some sort of slightly fluffy looking thing that you can go ahead and chuck the stuff
Teddy
on.
bear mats. Yeah.
It's all good. So the stretch goals, obviously, the STLs that you've been looking at there are part of the stretch goal unlocks. So they're not part of the core pledge, which is good because I would have hated to give them money for nothing. It's all ones and zeros. But there are also real things in the stretch goals, like additional models to add into the forces. I mean, if you really need a wagon wheel, go you, I suppose. Then this has that.
I want the chocolate one. I don't want
No, not fun as the was it jam rather than plain chocolate. But anyway, they've been knocking down stretch goals like they're going out of fashion, and there's some really interesting bits and pieces coming through. I particularly like the
thing that's kind of cool about it as well is that even though it's got this kind of fantasy feel to it because it's kind of Kensai and their world, there's also the real world analog that are like the Onimusha and Onibugeshi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bugeisha. So like you did have female samurai warriors of that period in feudal Japan. So if you wanted to flow that into Clash of Katanas, you could easily do that.
Yeah.
I think it's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
It's cool. So I was mainly after the train, and then I looked at my may as well just pick up
get the
forces.
rest.
I've got a couple of Zenith forces for Clash of Katanas because they did specific battle packs and armies and skirmish packs and stuff for us. Yeah. So I know that these will fit with what I have already.
In for a penny, in for a yen.
Oh dear, that is, well, I suppose if you want to be like that. But yeah, I think it's a comprehensive new force from Zenith anyway. But I think the addition of the terrain is really nice, and I'm looking at my time being slightly more precious than the cost of things. I'm going, well, it is just flat printed.
That's just all assembled in.
But it's all, once you assemble it, you don't have to paint it, and I won't be. I could run a paint pen down some of the exposed, because with any of those sort of plascrafty things, whenever you pop them out, you're going to have the white edge of the foam, so it might mask that via the medium of paint pen. But otherwise, it's a board's worth of terrain that I don't have to do anything once it's assembled. I can't be clearer.
Which is a godsend.
Yeah.
I'm actually really surprised companies like Plascraft don't do like an edging kit along with this stuff.
Sell you a paint pen.
Well, no, because if they've got the printed textures and all there, and in the 3D renders you can see them, if you had a thin sheet of the plastic card that just had all those edgings that you could then just glue onto the edges.
Yeah, it seems, but then you're going to end up having to buy essentially an extra sprue of printed things. So it's going to push the cost up, and then extra time.
You're going to have the edge of the piece of texture you've just glued on.
Yeah, well,
but even edge. But a narrower edge is less glaring than that 3-4 mil of.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. One's easier to fix than the other.
Okay, fine.
But there you go. Clash will be available in the Pledge Manager. See, there was a reason for me buying it, but before I got the book, I don't need it. But yeah, excellent range of stuff, and the sculpts from Zenith are absolutely gorgeous. So
a little bit bigger than normal, but not
as much as I initially thought. Whenever I got the first ones through for the Clash of Katanas Kickstarter, because I'd always had it in my head that they were much bigger. Yeah. And then when they arrived, I had to look at some things like Steelfest miniatures, and the Zenith line up very, very nicely indeed.
Oh, very, very good. Yeah.
So nothing to worry about there. Funded already. And 8 days left if you want to get in some feudal fantasy Japanese.
Got Jerry's seal of approval already. So,
I was on it like a car bonnet about 40 seconds after it launched.
So what is that? Is that like
be on battle?
Is it an open wallet with just a moth flying out going freedom?
It's fine. It's fine. We're all fine here. Right, that's us for this week. We've taken up enough of your time, and I think John wants to murder me. So. We're going to leave it at that. We shall return on Sunday morning for the XLBS, where we'll have a gentle meander of our hobby and yours without any of the stress of actually news talking.
My heart can take a rest.
Well, you do need to rest your heart. If you're not already a member of the Cult of Games, you can get a 30-day free trial over on tabletop.com. Otherwise, we shall see you again next Friday. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.